Good question from Q&A the other week. Clients not buying into the process.
Yep.
Go.
All right. So if your client's not...
So you sign a client up.
Yeah.
Get them in. And then week 1, week 2, you start to get like, I don't want to do this. I don't like that. Can we do this? Can I change that?
Yeah. I think to reduce the likelihood of those conversations happening, it's about the messaging at the start, and it's about your process of onboarding, which most likely doesn't end the day that they start the actual training with you. Or you can think of it as like onboarding and then like orientation.
Yep.
So it's like getting them up to speed with like how you coach, the system, and making them feel comfortable in like what they need to do so that you guys can get the most out of each other. So at the start, like the messaging is really important. So it's like, what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? How it's going to work? And a lot of people, irrespective of the fact if they're going to sign up with a coach or a new coach, they will still have inherent resistance to change because that's just the way we are. And most people don't like changing, even though sometimes they need it. So I think like being very clear with like how you're going to do things, what's going to happen, what they're going to experience, touching base with them and stuff is like a good way to kind of avoid that stuff. And then I think like sticking to your guns and just having the confidence to be like, well, this is how, well, you should be able to rationalize things anyway, but you need to also just like back yourself and be like, well, you come because you haven't achieved these outcomes and you've come to me to do that. This is how I do this.
Yeah.
So you need to trust in my process and decision making in order for this to happen.
Yeah.
Which I think is a new coach and someone who's like asking that, like they won't have that confidence, where I've had instances where things have happened and I'm just like, well, who's coaching who here?
Yeah.
Who's actually making the decisions? Is it you or is it me? And then, obviously in a diplomatic way so that there's a positive outcome at the end. It's never self-serving and aggressive.
Yeah.
So I think, messaging wise, it's good. And then the orientation part of it is like, you have to just make the assumption there's going to be teething issues. So sometimes I'll say to people like, hey man, it's going to take you like 2 weeks to get stuck into this.
Yeah.
You need to learn the program. You need to learn how I work. I have obviously my own training style, and people who come from like another type of training style are like, hey man, it's not enough like volume in the workout. There's not enough this. I'm like, just give it a shot for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Give me some feedback. And then I'm like, this is why and whatever. And then it's just like touching base with them, those kinds of things. I think on top of that, again, going with this mindset of like what it takes to be the best and someone who is the best, like ticks the boxes of the things that they set out to do.
Yeah.
And the only way you can tick the boxes on what you've set out to do, like achieve those goals, is you need to reverse engineer, why they're important, what they need to do, what a day looks like, and those types of things. And I actually think that's probably a place that we could be better at, like in terms of making it an actual process and part of the experience, rather than like you and I work with a lot of people that just have it because they're like, they're personal trainers, they're people who prioritize their goals and stuff. But I think, for everybody, like it'd still be better if you just went through the like, here's this activity. I want you to go deep on the goals and set out like what a day looks like for you and like what the non-negotiables are.
Yep.
And then that's what just gives you that clarity.
Yeah.
So then every day it's like, well, tick. We talked about the journaling before. If you had a constant reminder of what you needed to do every day, it exponentially increases the likelihood of you doing it. And I think it would actually increase the buy-in to following the plan as well.
Yeah.
Because it's so regimented.
Yeah.
It's so, so you're just giving that client insight and focus on what the day-to-day is. And I think they'll get better results. Because let's be real, like a lot of them won't follow it because they don't, like they might question you because they don't feel like they're making any progress.
Yeah. Yeah, they're scared it's not going to work.
Yeah, so if you go with all of these steps, and you can rationalize what you're going to do, I just think there's less pushback in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I really went places there. So hopefully that was. I only took 2 sips of coffee as well.
I think a lot of it comes back to the consult too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think if your goal is to, how do we word this? if your goal is to convert the client, so to make the sale, if that's your goal in the consultation, you can fall into a trap where you're caught proving yourself to the person. And that comes from, again, that confidence element of like, don't 100% believe in what I've got. I don't 100% believe that I've got a method. I don't have a stack of proof, and this isn't fucking the thing, you know? So then when you deliver it, you're kind of like, so what do you want, and what do you need, and what would work for you, and which is all not wrong. It's not that it's wrong. It just leads you into a potential situation where you have that, where the client feels like they're in control, they're calling the shots, they're the boss, and they've hired you, so they get to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Versus a prescriptive model consult, where it's like, tell me your goals, what are your obstacles to those goals, here's how I'm going to solve them, and this is what we are going to do, and this is how much money that will cost.
Yeah.
I think that's why, personally, I don't get it very much.
Yeah.
Because during that consult, it's like, I'm telling you, this is what we're going to do to get those goals and outcomes, and you're like, I'm on board from that initial start point. And then definitely layer in all the things that you said after that, even just little things like touch and base, how's it going, all of that.
Yeah.
Because I'll even say, like, at the end of my consults, like, I consider myself to be, a default is more collaborative as a coach, because I do train lots of PTs, but the plan's the plan.
Right, you make the decisions on that.
Yeah. And then when you come to me and you're like, hey, I don't really like this, it's like, that's 100% fine. We can change it. But this is the consequence of the change. You can make that call. And that's what collaborative is. It's like, I've made the decision for a reason.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I haven't. Like, I had one of my girls during the week, there was an exercise in there for lower back. It was a glute exercise that I was more interested in her training hip control than anything else. She's like, this beat me up, not really enjoying it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, do this instead. And it was like, one was length and range of the glute, one short and range of the glute. It's like, but it's not the same. It's like, it's not why it's there.
Yeah.
It's like, stimulate the glute is bonus. I need you to control your hips.
Yeah.
So, I think opening the door for the conversation, but if you've said it from the start, this is the plan, and then you communicate that plan when you deliver it as well, I think 9 times out of 10. Yeah. I wonder if we do live in a bit of a vacuum, though.
What does that mean?
Because people seek us a little bit more than your average trainer.
Yeah, so just like telling them this is what you do, then projecting that like you're just going to do this and it's going to get
I did a consult yesterday, and I was like, did my little bit. I'm like, what questions do you have for me? What do you want to know? She's like, I'd kind of decided before I messaged you.
Yeah.
So I'm good.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're convincing someone to get on the call and all of that, it's like it's slightly different dynamic,
of course,
from the start.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Most people come and ask, like, I spoke to such and such, and they said you were fucking awesome, or I've been watching your content for ages, and I've already been through all the steps to get here.
Yeah, but then you can still overcome the pushback with all of those things that we
still
mentioned.
apply it exactly the same way.
Yeah, it's probably just not.
Yeah,
100% success rate.
It's just easier to be confident when someone's like, "Hey, I know your client. I've been watching them for ages. I want to coach with you."
Yeah,
the posture. You're just like, "Okay, cool. Well, this is what we're gonna do." Versus you've sent them a DM, or you've approached them on the floor, or you've called them, and you're like, they thought you were teaching them how to turn the treadmill on, or like just doing a call for I don't even know what online coaching is.
Yeah,
and now all of a sudden it's like, I've got to get this person to buy from me. It's a different.
Yeah, I think if you can rationalize your decisions, like even if that conversation comes up, like you're good anyway.
Agreed.
Yeah, because that person just wants to hear.
Just want reassurance.
Yeah, they just want to know. Like they probably just don't understand and need you to outline in layman's terms like how this is all playing out.
Yeah.
Because we've all had that client that asks like, "What's this for and what's that for?" You got to be able to answer that question. Some of them don't. Some of them just do it, and then others need to know. But you always need to know why.
Yeah.
Irrespective of whether you say yes or no. Like tell them or you don't tell them.
Agreed. Yeah, and maybe that's a pitfall for a lot of people too. They don't actually know why the program's the way that it is.
Yeah, and
why the
that's it's tough when you're at the start. Like for how long did we just put workouts together?
Yeah.
Because we, like you have a general
Educated-ish.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you get your Cert 3 and 4 and, you know, you kind of, this is how to train people. It's not, there's no real underlying why
Yeah.
you kind of select things and package them together, you know, in depth.
Yeah.
So may want to avoid that conversation altogether at the start because you can't rationalize it. Where now it's like, this workout's done on this day, this workout's done on this day. It's sequenced. We select this exercise for this reason. These are the rep ranges for it. This is what their effort prescription for the week is.
Yeah.
It's like all of this stuff here. This segment of the workout's for skill. This segment of the workout's to get the fuck after it. This segment of the workout is to whatever, like work on weaknesses. Like we have the ability to do that because we've formulated a method and have the education. Like if you're a newer coach, like it's just not that in depth yet.
Correct. Yeah.
But in saying that, you're like we had to explain it to an elite level athlete and a personal trainer. So that's why we can rationalize things like that. But you can remember that you're rationalizing your decisions to somebody who knows nothing about training and exercise and has hired you as a professional to do that.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to go through the levels that are so in depth.
Yeah.
Where most people think they do. Like they think they need to answer like a textbook. They think they need to know all of the buzzwords. When you don't, you just need to be like, this workout's spaced over here because of this. This is how we work. You know, we're working these muscles on this day. This so we recover.
Yeah.
And then like asking them why the pushback is there would be really important to understand too.
Yep.
So it's like, why does the resistance exist? Like, do you not believe that this is going to work?
Yeah.
Have you tried and you're not seeing the results you want? Because it's one or the two of those. So if they say like, hey, yeah, this is different, you know, I'm always going to go with well, if you keep doing the same thing, well, you're going to be in the same position as when we first met.
Yeah. So
I'm like, does it make sense that we try something different? Because if it worked, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And then if it goes with like I've done it and it hasn't worked, then it's like, okay, well, let's go over like a performance review.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, like they're just missing things and they're either not conscious of it or they're just not willing to let go of them and they're not willing to tell you about it.
Yeah.
So then you're like, well, if you're not adhering to the plan, like the plan's useless, right? So we either have to find a compromise of like trying to get my method to overlay with what your capabilities are, or you need to understand that you're missing the mark here and you have to lift in these departments in order for this method to work.
If you want this to change, yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to take a little bit of back and forth, I think.
Yeah. I like it.
Nailed it.
Next one we had was disrespectful clients.
Yeah. Everyone far out, man. Like what I would do to have my time again, and I got a bit worked up in the workshop answering this question for one of our guys. It's hard when you're young and you don't have the confidence and you are trying to figure out who you are and you want to have a reputation that's positive and be nice to everyone because that's the best way to put yourself in the position to build your business, right?
Yeah.
So I get it. And I've had a lot of people treat me like shit and I kind of just let it go. But then there becomes a point where that's going to affect the day-to-day.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're nice to somebody and they're just disrespectful to you and, you know, you have to see them regularly, like that doesn't just affect you in the 45 minutes that you're together.
Yeah.
It affects you in the hour leading up. It affects you in the morning before you go to work because you think it affects you the night before. I've got to see this person.
Yeah.
It affects you the hour to 2 to possibly 3 hours later. What if they message you outside of their session time? Like, think about all of the energy and bandwidth that person is taking away from you and think about what you could have done with it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I wish I understood earlier. And I get it. Someone's paying you but they're treating you poorly, but you're like, I don't know where my next client's going to be and all of that. I get it. But then I also think like if you just know what to do and know where to put your energy, that person's taking that away from you and you're not able to put the energy that you could have because of that person.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just not like, I just think like if you want to be in the job for as long as you choose, like you just don't have to put up with that shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you have examples of it happening?
Yeah, I got abused on I took a woman through a workout and then we finished off on the treadmill, on something. We're doing some intervals and stuff at the end. And, you know, explained it. This was the workout. Yep, cool. Knew exactly what we we're going to do. And she barraged me with abuse. I hate you. You're awful. This, that, blah, blah, blah. Oh, man, I was fucking,
Jesus.
bro. And I was like, when did I start? 21? So it would have been like 21 and a half, 22 possibly.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, like after that, I was like just so, like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
I've never had, you know, I was obviously in the era of avoiding conflict because that's all I saw when I was growing up. So I was like, well, if conflict's bad, it usually leads to violence.
Yeah.
Like from what I've seen as a kid.
Yeah.
Not at home, like just out as an adolescent being
Yeah.
being a shithead in the community. So yeah, I was like, well, I don't know what the fuck to do here. Like,
yeah.
and I just said to her, like, you know, you can't speak to me like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's not fair.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like, the fucking waterworks started happening, and I'm like,
Shit.
yeah, and I just was like, I don't know if I can do this. It was just fortunate enough for me that she cancelled, like,
Yeah.
stopped it. I was like, you got some shit. In my head, I was like, this is just... So, yeah, I've had that. I had someone, like, get in my face when I called them out for being late.
Yeah.
He got in my face. My client literally stepped up to my face in the gym. And I just said, oh, like, you're 15 minutes late, bro. Like, what's going on? You didn't message me, whatever. Got in my face and, like, tried to intimidate me. And I just said, like, can you just take a deep breath and think about what you're doing right now?
Yeah.
And I said, and then just, like, go into the lounge, sit down, and I'll be with you in a minute.
Fuck.
Yeah, that took all... And I would have been 25.
Yeah. That's a feisty.
And I know
Jason.
people...
That's a feisty.
Yeah,
Jason
and I was like,
25,
bro,
man.
we were fucking... Bro, we were fucking, you know where the walkway is to the, you know where the reception area is,
Yeah,
and there's that
yeah.
walkway that connects the gyms,
Yeah.
like one side to the other.
Yeah.
We were there, dude. Everyone looking at us, every single person. I was like, how do I tackle this?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, same thing. He was like, oh, sorry, I just had a bad morning, this and that. And I said, I get it. But I said, you absolutely have no excuse
Yeah.
to ever speak to me that way. So 4 years on.
Yeah.
A little bit more, and then if it happened now, I'd just be like, "That's
Yeah.
curtains to me, bro."
Yeah.
Like I don't have to deal with that shit.
Yeah.
Like, you
Fuck.
can't treat people like that. So yeah, like that's the hard part. It's like you don't want to have that, like, oh fuck, I've got to train this person,
Yeah.
and I don't know what they're gonna be like, and it's gonna suck the energy out of me, and all of that. Like, and that's only that's 2 clients in the 12 years I was a face-to-face coach. Like
Yeah.
that's not something that happens often. But I don't believe you have to deal with that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's full on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure there's worse cases than that. Like, I've heard some stories, it's just like, you know, because people like pay for like the 4 or 5 days a week, they feel like they own that person because they give them like, you know, $400 or $500 a week. It's like,
Yeah.
no, like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a job.
Yeah. I
You
haven't
know?
had any super confrontational ones like that.
No.
I had to confront another member
Yeah, I remember you.
about my client.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kept putting her down and saying shit about me too, but
Mm.
he was trying to shrink her to like.
Yeah, it was like a...
There's like the fucking 5-year-old that picks on the 4-year-old girl because
Yeah.
fucking hell.
Yeah, it's just...
So I'd say like,
doesn't know how to
I don't
converse
fucking
with the opposite
Yeah,
sex.
it's like, bro, I don't come to your work and tell you your shit at it.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate. I feel like the people that the
It was a
gym
pretty good
brought
club.
in was good too.
Yeah, culture was.
Yeah. But yeah, dealing with clients like that, fuck that.
Yeah.
Just, like, you know, done it. Like, how long we been doing this for? 15 years?
Yeah.
I
I probably actually had a
can't-
few online.
You can't deal with that shit and be in the industry for 15 years.
It's a
Like,
long
you just can't. It'll kill you, man.
Yeah.
It'll tear you apart.
Yeah.
You know, I just think you got to enjoy yourself if you want longevity in any career. You have to optimize your day to day to a degree. Like,
Yeah.
I get it, you know, can't control everything.
Yeah.
It's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. Like, sometimes you got to...
We spoke about it on the pod last week, just like accepting that there's a number of the population that you don't necessarily get along with.
Yeah.
I think being aware of that
Mm.
sooner is good.
Yeah. It's just a tough part to be in when we say you have to work with everyone at the start to get yourself... You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Like,
yeah.
so people are going to sit there and go, hang on a minute. Like, these dudes are like...
yeah, but what... You have to work with everyone, and then the ones that fit will stay.
Yeah.
If you're yourself.
Yeah,
And
and
if
there's
you
also
don't tolerate that,
there's also a difference, I guess, like working with everyone. But as soon as something becomes disrespectful, that's different. It doesn't
Agreed.
matter what you're doing.
Agreed.
Like if someone talks to me, like let's say with the accident that happened when I was driving the other day, if she was disrespectful to me in any way, shape, or form, it's a fucking problem.
yeah,
You know, and the same for me to her. Like, what if I go like, oh, you look,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like, she hit me in the fucking back. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
That's different to, yeah, just like doing the necessary things for whatever. So it's like if there's a training session, you do the training session, you get along as a team, you motivate them, you do whatever.
Yeah.
At no time do you either give them disrespect or do they give you disrespect.
Agreed. Yeah.
And that can happen from like John, Jane, Ben, Jason. You know, you can have a training session, a stint of clients that are all different walks of life and skill level.
Yeah.
But the number one thing is
respectful
that
to each other.
everybody is nice to each other and respectful.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, I just think that's a big line to cross. And I don't know if I would let somebody come back after that,
Yeah.
especially depending on what they said and what they did.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, what energy are you losing keeping that person on
Yeah.
that could benefit you in the long run?
Yeah. I think one that for me has always been a struggle coaching is just like that victimhood mentality. If I look at like what's the personality trait that cooked me the most, who are the clients I didn't look forward to?
Yeah.
It's that.
Yeah.
It's just like playing the victim, poor me, that whole thing. I'm just like, it's the longest half an hour of my life.
Yeah.
All I changed. So this is like not a disrespect thing, but in terms of train everyone, the ones you connect with will stay. It's just a push back on like every time it happened, I was just like, yeah, but or what if, whatever. It's just always just like spinning it. And some people will be like, fuck, thank you. And you'll see over 6 months journey that they change the way that they kind of talk about stuff and look at stuff and all that sort of thing. And then other people will just be like, leave.
Yeah.
It's like, I like being this. Stop pointing it out to me. I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I think, whatever it is that's, whatever reason you're dreading seeing them, if it is they're disrespectful and whatever, if there's other sides of it as well, that there's clients you're just like, fuck, it's killing me.
Yeah.
Who are you being in the session that's making them, allowing that behavior to?
Well, that's also it's the running in scarcity and fear.
Yeah.
So there's people that are in a position where they think that they can tell you, dictate, and what you do and how you're spoken to.
Yeah. Because like if you're, like you said, you want to last 15 years, like taking on everyone's shit is as bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. And the sooner you do that, it'll just give you, the sooner you can control those narratives, like you start to take control there and you start to take control pretty much everywhere in the gym and your job. Like there's a lot of things, like sometimes like when we're in Q&A, we're there to give confidence to just do the thing that they know they should do.
Yeah.
They already know. They just want that support. And then once they get that win where they're like, yeah, I got rid of that client and oh my God, I did feel better. And oh my God, I do have the energy for this. It's like, we know you just needed the backing. It's like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be all right. And if something happens, we're here to support you, you know? And I wish I just had that earlier, that confidence.
Yeah.
You know, or someone to just be like, do this, man. It's going to be all right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a little bit of like, because you're in the industry to help.
Yeah, you
feel
don't
like you kind of have to save everyone as well.
Yeah, but you you know my thoughts on that. You don't have to put up with people's shit who are going to treat you poorly.
Agreed.
Like, it's just
Agreed.
no. I'm always on the side of the personal trainer there.
Yeah. Yeah.